Our today's guest is Allana Pratt, and she is an intimacy expert. So welcome, Allana.
Oh, it is great to see you again. This is like old home sister week.
Awesome. So let's start by looking into the intimacy foundation. Like, do you find as an expert on intimacy that the capacity that a person has for their self-awareness and self-love and self-worth directly relates to the capacity for intimacy that they have with the world, with their partner, or even with their clients?
Yeah, absolutely. It's completely connected. I believe that intimacy with ourself is like the core building block of our self-realization. If we can't be with ourself, how the hell can we be with anyone else? How the hell can we be with a client? Frankly, how the hell can we be with God, money, like you name it, our body, the whole thing, everything's a relationship. And when we have an intimate, my definition of an intimate relationship is that we're able to open our heart, put our walls down, be vulnerable, be transparent, and just be. A lot of times when I first learned to have an intimate relationship with myself, I discovered I didn't have one. I had a very judgmental, critical, or avoidant, abandoning relationship with myself. Anything other than perfect, got shoved in the closet. Scared, ashamed, sad, insecure, not perfect, any of that was like, nope, and pushed it away. So I was just this little part of myself desperately seeking your approval in order to feel safe on the inside, approved of on the inside. I was looking totally backwards, outside in. And when I started to look inside out for my worth, I'm like, well, how am I going to find any worth with this insecure, humiliated, scared part of me? This isn't going to work either. Until I realized, oh, it's not through fixing myself that I become whole. It's through allowing myself. Literally being willing to sit with these parts of me that were not socially acceptable or uncomfortable to be with, or physically intense to breathe through. It could be physical too, not just a point of view, but be willing to sit with these parts of me forever. And here's the piece, even if they never changed. Mm-hmm. Well, none of us want to be insecure forever. None of us want to have lack forever or any of this. But the idea is if we go in with the intention to change, we're saying who we are is wrong. It's a judgment. And that part of us is like, nope, you can go to hell. I'm going to keep that extra 10 pounds. I'm going to keep this abundance issue. I'm going to keep attracting narcissists. Like, no, I need you to learn to love me as I am, warts and all, and never have an agenda to change me. Then I'll actually trust you. Then maybe we can come back home together. Then we can be one, whole and home. And
that's a very interesting balancing point there too, because I think a lot of times people look from the standpoint of, I just want the pain to go away so I can be in pleasure and enjoyment and abundance. And the way you're talking about it sounds like you're kind of saying that pain is just part of the equation.
It's called being alive. So, welcome to the planet, people. The immature, no offense meant, but the beginner spiritual community thinks wrongly, incorrectly, that the goal of life is to be perfect and happy and abundant every single moment of the day, and then you die. No, that's insanity. That's called a fantasy. Life is equal pain and pleasure, up and down. We don't learn forgiveness if we haven't been betrayed. How do we even know what abundant was unless we had those months where we didn't know how to pay rent? How could we truly have compassion if we haven't been used or taken advantage of? Like, this is the experience of life. You're not going to have a relationship, a job, a body that's perfect and happy every single day. No, it's not real. And it doesn't lead to people trusting you because it's people inherently know there's something up with them. Either they've lost their capacity for empathy, or they're lying, or they're not real and I don't feel safe and I need to be perfect around them all the time if I'm going to be near them. So how was your perfect day? My day was perfect. Well, really? That's intimacy? No, that's just fake. I call it sprinkles on top of the ice cream cone of shit. It's pretending you're fine when you're not. And I'm not saying go be drama queens. I'm not saying wallow in your sorrow and be a victim of your circumstances. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying when you find, this is all of life. Okay. Half of it's pleasure, half of it's pain. Here's presence. I can be with it all. That's power. That's living unstoppable because any person, place, circumstance, anything doesn't take you off of, I got this. If it's sad, I can be with it. If it's happy, I can be with it. because people can use you. If you're only trying to be happy, they'll try to shine you on and say all the right things so that they can hook in with you. That's actually a way we get used as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that's leading kind of back to the idea that I think a lot of successful women find it probably difficult to show fully who they are in all the ways, right? Because leadership has been for a long time kind of twisted into this masculine idea of always showing up and look like you got it together, which of course is not real. So when women try to be leaders, sometimes they forget to be feminine leaders, and instead it becomes this mask of kind of pretending that everything is great. So do you find, like, for your clients that are already successful ladies that are looking for either intimate relationship or maybe just more fulfillment in life and the type of clients that they attract into their world or opportunities, that is a place where they kind of have to like switch gears from this masculine leadership that they've been portrayed, for a while, into something that's much more honest?
Yes, that's a beautiful question. In fact, the universe is so funny because the coaching client I had right before this interview, she makes about 350 million a year. She's very successful. She's doing a big, humongous speech. And a lot of her perfectionism got her to a certain level of success. Her criticism of her fears, her pushing away of her truth, her disconnection to herself got her to a certain level. But I work with her husband as well, and I work with their marriage as well. And it's not in trying to be perfect that brings them closer. It's in opening their hearts, putting down their walls, and being authentic that brings in more connection and births actually more creativity, which is actually creating more money in their life. What? Like, we can get to a certain level. I guess the whole trend would be maybe we're victims, damsels in distress. And that's not working. So now we're going to be a badass. I'm going to be a boss woman, right? And nothing's going to stop me. And you can get to a certain level of success, but it also caps off this next level of true regal impact, kings, queens, whatever energies we want to use, is about intimacy. It's about vulnerability. It's about the power of authenticity. It's about getting up under your clients and inspiring them through your humility and your authenticity, not your accolades and your accomplishments, which creates more separation than connection. So we're looking at what's it going to take her business to 1 billion and attract more people. And that's going to be her relatability, not her accomplishments. So as we were just having a conversation around this speech she's giving, we had to integrate some fears. I'm like, do you talk about this in your speech? She's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, it's time for you to go to this next level. It is you're no different. You might be a few steps ahead. That's for damn sure, but you're no different and no better than anyone else. So they can relate with you. And I think that will attract more people that feel safe in her presence to be human, that she can empower and take her impact in her business to the next level.
Yeah. Do you find that women especially go through stages of the type of relationship they're looking for? Because what you just described with this idea of at first you just sort of codependent or looking for approval, then you're just badass and you just want to be that leader in the semi-masculine way. And then you finally graduate to actually being the queen in the full capacity of it when you're open and vulnerable. So do you find that there is, like, if we connect that to a relationship in a intimate sense, that it translates the same way? Like, first relationships are more approval seeking or mommy daddy issues, and the second is more like, I don't need any of this, screw this, I'm gonna just be me. And then, which is kind of like soulmate thing a lot of times, actually, right? Digging deeply into the shadow. But then there's got to be the next step.
I friggin' love you. I'm so glad conversation. Yes. And that's actually what's happening in their marriage, which is about a 30-year marriage. They're moving from each of them just dealing with their own seeking approval and marry me, and now I'm good enough, I'm enough, to these two badasses, but independent and triggering each other's shadows. And very well said. I call that soulmate, where we're facing each other, right? And battling each other and blaming each other. And that's actually when they came to me a few years ago to work with them so we could take them to wholemate, Or my other company is called Heartmates, my partnering app. So it's what's after wholemate, where you're no longer blaming the other. You're sitting in your own stuff to grow, but then you turn into a wholemate relationship where you're beside each other, facing out for making a difference with humanity, literally a whole person and a whole person, not half and half, you complete me, but two whole people, where you literally begin to awaken. And this is what's so beautiful: awaken dormant qualities within each other that are in there that only this beautiful wholemate relationship can awaken, because you've been through it all together. And to watch, he's more creative and she's more visionary. But back in the soulmate, no, you're doing it. No, they were bickering about this and they still did quite well for themselves. But now that they're here building something even bigger, they're igniting and appreciating each other's unique evolutionary gifts to humanity so much more. And they're not just one and one. Over here, it's like half and half equals one. Don't leave, don't change, I'll control you, right? Over here, it's one and one, whole and whole. But it doesn't even equal two. It's like it equals infinity. Like there's limitless possibilities for all.
Yeah, it goes away from that whole thing, you complete me, which is the typical soulmate idea, into more of I'm a whole person, you're a whole person. And now we're utilizing quantum field for creation of something bigger.
Yeah, you compliment me. And it is so beautiful to watch what's occurring in their relationship. It's like a new honeymoon phase, but with so much wisdom and respect and self-worth from the inside out, not from the accomplishments outside in.
Do you find that the similar type of an interaction can happen within a larger scenario of a business as well, not just in a coupledom?
Yeah, we're on the same wavelength today. I'm really loving these questions so much. So yes, you can have a wholemate relationship that's personal, romantic, familial. It can be like a family member. It could be a business member. It's really your souls have come together to awaken the best in each other and create more than either one of you could apart. Sometimes in this case, they're both romantic partners, husband and wife, and business partners. So it's all in one, but it could definitely be a business partner solely, or it could even just be a child. When they grow into adulthood, there's just some symbiotic thing between the two of you where you create a lot of magic together.
Yeah, well, this podcast is called Conscious Coaches on the Mission. So do you feel like it's your mission to bring this in, or like, can you speak about that a little bit?
I've never thought about definitely wholemate relationships from soulmate. Soulmate is definitely part of my mission. It's my own personal story. It's what I inspire in others, for sure. I take a lot of couples who are bickering at that level of soulmate, ready to divorce or awaken and take them to that next level. It's fun when they also have a business as well. I've never worked with two business people together to take them from soulmate to wholemate, but I'm sure I could. What I really want us all to realize is that we're not seeking on the outside to be enough, to find that intimate relationship with ourself and source and our body's wisdom and even our relationship with abundance and money, all of that intimacy. When you then take that into relationship, personal and professional, you have exponential return on investment in your life and you become a leader, but it's more like a role model rather than look at me, I'm the leader telling you what to do. It's more like, here I am giving from the overflow as an inspiration to play with me, to be inspired by where I've gone, but I'm not better. I'm just maybe one or two steps ahead in evolution. So there's a real relatability. It's not above. It's more like a circular vortex that is shooting up in our impact for humanity. And I love it. And in fact, my partnering app that's called Heartmates, we say, become the one to find the one to keep the one. And this is the one, of course, we're looking to find, even though it's out there. When you find this one and you do the work to become the one, i.e. heal your shame, all of those unhealed wounds that repel the very love that you're looking for, and you're whole and home, never perfect, totally say, no apologies that I'm a hot mess or I'm like badass. Like I'm me, I'm all of it. And when we can take that and find the one, then it's a vibration. We all know that. We can attract the aligned love of our life, business partners, clients, where we live, the home we're in, the environment, all the things. The body loses that extra COVID-10, whatever it was. It just happens. There isn't this drive. It's just we act in ways that are honoring of our entire being. And I love that I've been able to create, it's not a dating app, it's a partnering app, because I believe dating apps prey on us trying to be desperate and find the one. But then they don't want us to keep the one, or we'll go off the dating app, and that's not good business. So they actually are setting us up to fail at love. They make money when we fail at love. And I want us to win at love. So this is about the inner work that we do, and then about attracting that partner. But then what does it take to keep and thrive with that partner? Once you find your awesome business partner, once you find your awesome lover, believe me, a whole new slew of challenges will arise. And we want people to thrive in that relationship long-term. So
yeah, I was just going to ask about when you mentioned challenges, like what place do you find lessons that one has in life have within that transition? Because obviously the initial lessons are pretty much mommy daddy issues. That's kind of always with the relationship, but then they evolve to, they're still there. I mean, we don't just like learn all our lessons and suddenly become ascended masters, all perfect. So what happens that you have noticed to this lesson kind of progression that one experiences when they're in a different kind of a relationship level?
Yeah. In a, not a soulmate, but a whole mate, or we call it heartmates level, what this new piece that seems to be missing at the soulmate level, like we can be a stand for us, we can be a stand for our partner, but there's a stand for the us, the we, the bubble around the two people, a stand for what's best for the relationship. And it's really a new way of thinking. It sounds like if it hurts you, it hurts me. If it's for you, it's for me. While simultaneously being an allowance, not fixing or changing who they are, and while simultaneously being an allowance of your truth. It's a new dance to think about what would be best for us, which is best for all. And I've had a lot of fun interviewing on my own podcast different couples who are navigating this same transition as well. And when one says something that feels like it's not for us to the other person, how do we navigate that? And it's a lot about communication. It's a lot about the difference between our mind's conclusions and our heart's truth and wisdom. It's a lot about following energy and discomfort in the body, and what's the wisdom that the body of the suppressed trauma is telling us as we integrate it back to zero. There's a lot of, communication, body, and a new point of view about us that this new wholemate relationship world is navigating. And I'm learning right alongside of everybody.
Yeah, and trust is probably a big part of this communication component. What would you say the trust is directed to? Because at this point, it's not codependent. So it's not just like trusting that the other person won't hurt you or something like that. And it's got to be self-trust or trust in the universe. Like, how would you describe that?
Yeah, it's all the way back to the become the one phase. Or the find the one before the keep and thrive with the one. In the become the one phase, if we don't come to terms with, we can't control shit. Everything's uncertain, always has been, always will be. And it's not fair. And it won't be. And I can trust as I become my own back. I have my own back, that come what may, I will not, if I get rejected, I will not reject myself. If everything falls to shit, I will still have my own back. And I will not blame myself. And I will stay curious as I co-create with the universe, but that ultimately it's a dance. It's a figure eight. I'll put out what I'm going to put out, but the universe has a whole other plan. And so maybe you're in your 60s and you still haven't found your beloved. You're not bad. You're not wrong. You're not late. Maybe you found your perfect partner in your 20s. You're not better than someone who hasn't. So there's a lot of trusting your own journey, your own soul's evolution, doing your best to be aware of others, but not compare, and be better than or less than, so that you know, and you can look back and go, wow, I've been there for myself all along. I can trust me.
Yeah, that's a very beautiful definition of trust, because I think a lot of times people mistranslate that into trusting means that either kind of mommy, daddy, like universe will take care of me, like I'm taken care of or I'm protected and nothing bad will happen to me, or trusting that like my partner won't hurt me, or trusting that if I do the right thing, the clients will show up, or if I do the right thing, then the money will happen. And that's such a kind of a small way of looking at trust, would you say?
Yeah, it's kind to me, it's a little naive. It's better than thinking negatively. So
Yeah.
we're
Anything is better than thinking.
direction of positive, but it's a little fantasy Pollyanna.
Mhm.
Good things happen to bad people. Bad things happen to good people. Like
it always kind of, I, from my perspective, from the quantum field, there is sort of universal rules.
Yeah.
So the bigger perspective, it's not complete chaos. And there are certain things that we can influence by the type of broadcast frequency we're putting out.
Totally.
So that's probably how you see it as well,
Yeah,
right?
that's what we're putting out. Like we're completely in charge of that. How we respond, our vibration, our thoughts, our actions, all of that is in our control. However, then you let go of control, and then it goes out to the universe, and all of that we're not in control of. But again, we're in control of how we respond to it or react to it. So this half of the circle is good. This half we have no fucking clue. So to know that I'm okay. I've got my own back. And I'm in charge of how I be with the universe. I'm in charge of that. And the rest is a mystery. And when you know you have your own back, you start to get this, it's kind of sexy. It's kind of sassy. It's kind of like, what you got today, universe? And my experience is that you begin to make love with life.
Mm-hmm.
Penetrate me. What do you have today? Right? Because you trust, even if it's a shit show, you're going to be okay. You will grow through everything. Everything has a lesson in it. And you can learn compassion and empathy for the times that are hard. And you don't need to put a cherry on top until you're ready to move on. There's nothing wrong or bad about just having the fetal position and crying and just really being kind to yourself when it's all fallen apart. So it's a more mature spiritual point of view of what we're in control of and what we're not. And trust always comes back to this one. And I did an exercise. I have many processes that I've been trained in and that I train my coaches in. And there was one that you sort of interact with an aspect of yourself. And this aspect of myself wanted me to die alone, where nobody knew any of the impact that I made. And there was no difference that I could quantify that I made. And be able to, and for some reason, it showed me Newfoundland in an Adirondack chair looking at this. I don't know why, but that's where it took me to. And I sat there and I just remember taking my last breath and nobody knew me. And I made no sizable, measurable impact. And I was enough. I was enough. And
can we be enough when all of that falls away? If there's no money, no job, no success, no relationship, no anything.
Nothing. Yeah. No child, no man, no nothing. And could I still stay connected and feel home and one with myself? And that was very important to me so that my actions aren't based in order to look good, be safe, make a difference, like all that kind of stuff. And it's allowed me to trust in my relationship with myself in the face of anything, which I've needed to call on times of great blame or rejection, or the money goes up, the money goes down, or the investor doesn't come through, or the app still has bugs in it. The various things that I'm dealing with, I've cultivated, and I'll never get there, but I keep cultivating this place of, I love me.
Yeah. And it's a very good trust anchor. So like to get to the place where you can imagine all of the things fall away, and can you still love yourself? Because then it becomes like in the quantum field, like an anchor to go back to in dark times. Yeah.
And then you can have that as your root, your foundation when you're on a date. Because if you don't have that and you're on a date, we're like, well, if I don't, it's a warm body. At least it's better than being alone. At least somebody will love me, right? Like we make up these crazy things where we settle and we talk ourselves into or out of crazy things because we haven't found that place of trust and home, intimacy with self on the inside. And I learned the hard way. My very first investor in my company ended up taking $120K of my money, saying he'd give me the return of $500,000 and away we'd go. Well, he never returned. And when I looked at the lesson in that, it's because I didn't have that level of, I will talk to 100 investors if I have to until I find the right one. It was the first one. I didn't have to do all that hard stuff. I didn't have to face all my fears. I didn't have to grow and evolve. That was the lesson. So then that cultivated the capacity to go, okay, if I need to talk to 100 of these people, I'm only going to be in business with somebody of integrity who sees me. So we learn no matter what. Everything's here to help us grow. But if we can get there without having to lose 120K, I would love to give you that gift.
What would you say to the people who feel too different? I run into that a lot, that entrepreneurs who are especially spiritual coaches or healers or some transformational mentors, they feel like they are like, don't fit into the kind of normal in quotes world. So because of this, everything feels like normal things don't apply to me. I'm too different. And that goes for business, for relationships, for romantic relationship, for all of it. What would you say to people like that? Because there's definitely something to say to the fact that they actually are more sensitive probably than majority of population. But how would you?
I just say, good on you. Awesome. I love being different. Mm-hmm. I mean, have compassion for the part of you that doesn't feel like you fit in. Mm-hmm. Have compassion for the part of you that wants to create a different way of doing business or a different way of doing relationship. But friggin' celebrate that you're different, because when you're the same and you got to be the same and fit in, there's all this comparison. You got to stay in the box. It's like very contracting. But when you're different, there's no rules. You can make shit up. You can do it the way you want. You're literally a pioneer. You're on the cutting edge of humanity, just letting your inspiration reveal its truth and then acting. It's intense because it's a clean, open slate. There's really no path to follow.
But that's exactly what I always tell all my clients, is that same thing, is that if you're different, good for you. Congratulations. Yeah, awesome. You already got the marketing just by that. You already stuck out. Now let's just package that. But this is awesome. So I'm sure the same thing would go for relationships. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In fact, some people are like, I like having my own house and he has his own house. And I'm like, that's good. What else do you like? What else would make you happy? What else would you like?
Exactly. It's cleaning all the rules away and just going with what is actually true on the inside. Sounds like that's kind of your motto.
Yeah. And then to have a whole community of people that live according to their truth. So while you're different compared to the rest, we got a whole group of us and we're all different. So you feel home and you're inspired by each other's difference. And we're just very naughty. And, we have a lot of fun and we cry, we swear, and we dance, and we create, and we have each other's back, and we help each other through really dark times when the rest of the world is making you wrong for your choices. And you do need to have a community or coaches that are there for you, because it does hurt, and not to pretend it doesn't.
Yeah, well, that's a nice segue too. Like I was going to say, if somebody wanted to work with you, like maybe they're looking to create a relationship, maybe they are in business in a successful kind of position and they're finding that it's very difficult because the typical alpha males don't make it because they're too shallow, and the other types they just can't find, and so on. How would they maybe start like finding this in your world?
Oh, I would love it. We have a beautiful community. Yeah. A lot of us successful, crazy, awesome, weird, sexy ones. So my site is my name, Allana Pratt, and on it is an intimacy blind spot. There's an assessment that you can take that's absolutely complimentary. There's a call, an intimacy breakthrough experience call you can have with my intimacy success advisor. There's ways to discover if you're a fit to work with us, or if the way I look at the world is in resonance with you. And so, go to my site and take either the complimentary quiz or sign up for a breakthrough call with, her name's Natalie, my intimacy success advisor. And you'll get great value of really seeing what are the emotional band-aids, what are the blind spots, because clearly if we all figure it out, we would, right? It's going to be a blind spot. I just spent the last 3 days with one of my coaches in Salt Lake City going, oh God, I didn't see that. Oh God, I'm 52 and I'm still a student. So just having this fresh outlook, like we never get there. And every new blossom of the lotus flower as it opens is another way of being even more who we are, more free to give and also to receive.
Yeah, like enjoying the journey instead of just looking to get there finally.
Thank you. We're definitely about savoring the journey, that the journey is the destination, not the destination. We accomplish a lot. I've already spoken of the amount of money a lot of my clients make, but it's not about the goal anymore, because we've done that. We've gotten it and we're not happy. So it's about something deeper and richer from the inside out. And,
this is so beautiful. And, you and I can talk forever, but we do have to wrap up. So thank you so much, Allana, for being here. And this was a really fun conversation. And hopefully this would open up some ideas for people as they were hearing different views on trust and intimacy and so on. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's great to see you again. I loved your questions. I love how deep we go so fast. So thank you for having me. Huge love to you.